Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. In the long history of Yu-Gi-Oh, many monsters have strut and fret their hour upon the stage and then are heard from no more. But a lucky few, for whatever reason, have stood the test of time. Gaia, for instance, has had numerous reimaginings, thanks in part to their status as a Yu-Gi monster, and if we're talking about competitive relevance, Thunder Dragon was plucked from obscurity, but for good reason, as its early design helped to mitigate discard costs, essentially cancelling out any negative effects for playing some of the format's most powerful cards. And today's subject is much the same. Having been one of the earliest flip monsters ever made, and looking absolutely broken next to the other cards at the time like Griggle, Penguin Soldier was destined to live on in the hearts and minds of every Yu-Gi boomer who picked up a Joey starter deck. And ever since, Penguin cards have shown up every now and then across sets over the years. Some legacy support here, a little legacy support there. So it's not like Penguins are a new archetype per se, but now with new cards coming out in Burst of Destiny and Animation Chronicle, I think it's time we recognized Penguin as its own fully fledged deck. And today, we're gonna talk about them. We'll review the fauna of the far north we've already cataloged, see how these new species alter their dynamics, then determine what we can introduce to improve their ecosystems. Get bundled up, because we're gonna go pal around with penguins. But before we continue, a quick reminder to please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed my content so far. We blasted way past my previous goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year and managed to land on 10,000. So expect Utopia Explained soon. I'll have an update video about the scheduling for that soon. Until then, make sure to check out the Discord. We have Plural Kit there, and people have been absolutely abusing it to make characters like this. There's also my Twitter. You can probably see me crying about meeting this goal right now. And if you want to go the extra mile in supporting me, I have channel memberships. They're basically like Twitch subs. You get emotes that you can use during the streams and premieres that we have all the time. I also have a Patreon. You can get to vote on videos every month, and also gains access to my scripts and deck lists that I use for streams. Yeah, I don't have much else right now. I'll have a more structured one of these later, but until then, thank you so much for watching, and now, back to the video. So, what's the deal with penguins? Well, they're all water attribute, with a majority of them being aqua type, though a few of them buck that trend, and I'll bring them up as they arise. There's a focus on bouncing cards to the hand, but as they haven't had the strictest of archetype cohesion, they can get sidetracked from that quite a bit. However, the most important factor across all of them when determining if they're a penguin monster is that they're a penguin. If there's a penguin in the art, it's a penguin. It can't get any simpler than that. Flying Penguin is a level 4 normal monster with 1200 attack and 1000 defense. They're a very rare penguin that takes to the air with ears shaped like wings. It's a neat unexpected die target for making rank 4s, but nothing much else to add here. Except that these Dumbo spin-offs are really getting out of hand. Bolt Penguin is a level 3 Thunder normal monster with 1100 attack and 800 defense. With each arm forming an electric whip, this monster paralyzes its enemies with electric shocks. This little fella can—
Hold it right there.
Sir Emanon, dual commentator extraordinaire and host of Rise of the Budget Duelist?
You forgot lover of all things penguin? Now, hand over my friend.
Not gonna happen. You've had these snuggly little borbs all to yourself for far too long. Besides, have you seen these tentacle things? Someone's gonna get hurt.
Oh, I'm counting on it. Activate. Failsafe protocol. Arctic Thunder.
What the heck is an Arctic Thunder? You've made your point perfectly clear. Here's your water chicken, sir.
That's Mr. Water Chicken to you? Come on, buddy. Let's go get you recharged with some watch batteries.
Ugh, what happened? Anyway, our next card is Penguin Soldier, the poster child of the whole theme. They're a level 2 flip monster with 750 attack and 500 defense, and when flipped, you can target up to 2 monsters on the field and return them to the hand. Bouncing is one of the best ways to get rid of monsters, and this card does it like it's their job. Which, you know it is, cause they're a soldier. And if you're lucky enough to flip them when not being attacked, you can have it target itself and one monster your opponent controls, so you can reset Soldier and do it all over again. But this card has me wondering what the Penguin chain of command looks like. When are we gonna get a Penguin General? Penguin Knight is just Penguin Soldier in a different pose? Or maybe they got promoted, they do have another level star. Either way, they're a level 3 monster with 900 attack and 800 defense, and if sent directly from your deck to the grave by an effect of a card controlled by your opponent, you unite your grave and deck, shuffle them together, and make a new deck out of them. Now, in almost any situation I can think of, this might as well be a vanilla. It's entirely dependent on your opponent playing a specific playstyle, but I guess that's what the side deck is for. If a mill strategy ever does become relevant, then we've already got the perfect counter to completely defang it. But that's if that ever happens. Sending cards to your opponent's grave is tantamount to giving them free advantage nowadays. I also hope they either never errata it or make Unite a mechanic. The way this is worded just amuses me every time I read it. Nightmare Penguin is strangely making its second appearance on the channel. They're a level 4 monster with 900 attack and 1800 defense, and while they're on the field, all your water monsters gain 200 attack. Also, when flipped face up, you target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So we've got a bit of a remix on Penguin Soldier, trading in the raw power of the effect for more defense, making it more likely to survive the attack, gives your waters a bit of a bonus of attack as a reward, and can target any card for bouncing, not just monsters. It's an interesting trade-off, but despite the number of upsides Nightmare provides, I still think I prefer Soldier, especially because it's not an obscene business weirdo. The Great Emperor Penguin is a level 5 monster with 1800 attack and 1500 defense, and you contribute them to summon up to 2 penguin monsters from your deck, except any copies of themselves. This was a pretty bad card. Summoning any of your penguins face up kind of defeats the purpose of them, but given some cards we'll talk about later, this is really cool. But for now, they are an emperor, and that means it's time for the penguin proletariat to rise up. I mean, supreme executive power is derived from a mandate of the masses, not some farcical giant penguin. Puny Penguin is a level 1 monster with 400 attack and 200 defense, and when sent from the field to the grave after having been flipped face up, you can target a penguin monster, except another copy of themselves, and special summon that target in face up attack or face down defense position. So it's a floater that actually can set Soldier and Nightmare, or even get you back Emperor. If it survives past that turn, you contribute it to get even more penguins. So I guess it's true what they say. Big things can come in small packages. Guard Penguin is a level 4 winged beast monster with 0 attack and 1200 defense, and whenever you take damage from a card effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon Guard Penguin from your hand, and if you do, you gain life points equal to the damage you took. So it's like a Battle and Boxer Veil for effect damage, which, as you can imagine, isn't quite as universally applicable. And yet, despite that, I still want to run a full playset if Emperor Penguin becomes viable, because then there are 1 card Ice Beast Zero Fine, which isn't just powerful, but also very flavorful. Well, I mean, ice doesn't usually have flavor, but you get my point. No Penguin is a level 3 monster with 1600 attack and 100 defense, and during either player's turn when an effect of a penguin monster is activated, you can special summon them from your grave. Also, if a card is returned from the field to the hand by the effect of a penguin card, it's banished instead. Ooh, wow, that's gnarly. Soldier and Nightmare just got a huge boost. You won't have to worry about your opponent refielding whatever you bounce, because there aren't many better ways to keep a card out of your opponent's reach than by banishing it. No Penguin is essentially the mascot for control decks, and I love it. Want to summon a monster? Nope. Activate an effect? Nope. Have fun? You know the answer to that. Penguin Torpedo is a level 3 monster with 550 attack and 300 defense. It can attack directly, and when it deals battle damage to your opponent, you can target a level 6 or lower monster your opponent controls and take control of it until the end phase, but its effects are negated and it can't declare an attack. And at the end of the damage step, if Torpedo attacked, it's destroyed. So you can't take Lynx or Xyz monsters, or anything level 7 or higher, and whatever you do take can't be used for anything, save for material during main phase 2. It's a neat way to get a monster out of the way to make some direct attacks you wouldn't otherwise be able to, but other than that, this piece of military ballistics lands with less of a bang and more of a whimper. Fluffle Penguin is, well, more fluffle than penguin, but if there ever comes a time where we need to combine the perturbing powers of penguins with the fusion ferocity of fluffle, then we know who to go to for ambassador work. Glacial Beast Polar Penguin is another card that's part of another archetype, which just goes to show that everything is better when you add penguins. But it also lines up a lot more with our game plan. They're a level 3 tuner monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense. If special summoned, you can target a monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand, and if they're on the field and destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target any card your opponent controls and add it to their hand. But you can only use 1 effect per turn, and only once per turn. Normally, you'd use Glacial Beast Blizzard Wolf to trigger this effect, but you can get the same result by using Emperor Penguin. And bonus, it's a tuner, so they can be used to help make our on-theme boss monster if we summon them alongside another level 3, like, say, No Penguin. That way, you can banish whatever Polar Penguin targeted, then go right into your Synchro, which will bring back No Penguin, because it's got its own effect it can activate. I love this card for penguins, which surprises me personally, because as I was writing this, I thought this card would be a bit more polarizing. And speaking of that synchro, it's time we introduced Penguin Brave. It's a level 6 synchro with 2400 attack and 1200 defense, requiring generic materials, and if synchro summoned, you can special summon a penguin monster from your deck in face-down defense position. While they're on the field, your opponent can't target face-down defense position monsters you control with card effects, and when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can flip up a face-down water monster you control as a quick effect. This is the unifying thesis of the whole theme, activating the flip effects of penguins, and this card sure does do a good job of establishing that. It summons a penguin soldier, or whichever penguin you fancy, protects them, and punishes your opponent for using monster effects by flipping a monster that bounces other monsters. It's absolutely brilliant, and goes to show that playing with penguins really is a team effort. Now it's time to cover the new cards from Burst of Destiny and Animation Chronicles 2021, and I'm happy to say that the party members of Penguin Brave got their own card. First is Penguin Champion, a level 5 tuner monster with 1800 attack and 600 defense. They can't be used as synchro material, except for the synchro summon of a water monster. If you control any set monster, you can special summon them from your hand, then you can reduce Champion's level by 1 or 2, to help with matching your Penguin's levels for Brave. They can target a face-down defense position monster you control and change it to face-up defense position, but that monster's effects are negated unless it's a penguin monster. So you can set a penguin, summon a penguin, activate the set penguin's effect, sink into a brave penguin, summon another penguin face down, then flip it up the next time your opponent starts getting cheeky with monster effects. Yeah, Champion is right, cause I think we just found the best penguin. Penguin Ninja is a level 3 flip monster with 1400 attack and 700 defense, and when flipped, you can target up to 2 spell or trap cards your opponent controls and return them to the hand. So it's Soldier for back row. Also, once per turn, Ninja can target a penguin you control and change it to face-down defense position, so they can reset your flip effects. By the nature of the game today, Ninja's flip effect isn't going to be as powerful as Soldier's, but the fact it can reset penguins is a huge boon, making all your revival effects even more powerful. Now we just gotta see how Ninja decks are gonna incorporate this as well. Seriously, this is like the third archetype they've mixed into. Penguin Priest is a level 3 monster with 600 attack and 1700 defense. And if any number of penguins are sent from your monster zone to the grave because of an opponent's card, even during the damage step, you can target one of them, discard a priest, and if you do, special summon them in face-down defense position. Also, once per turn, you can target a penguin you control, and it gains 600 attack until the end of the turn, and if you do, you gain 600 life points. Ah, incidental life gain, how I love thee. Let me count the ways. It's also a nice revival trick for your set penguins. Imagine they run into a soldier, hoping to just get it out of the way, only for you to drop priest and get it back. It's gonna cause their game plan to be full of holies. And now we have some honest-to-goodness spell support. Royal Penguin's Garden is a continuous spell that, when activated, adds a penguin card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. Also, once per turn, during your main phase, you can reduce the level of one penguin monster in your hand or face up on the field by 1, then discard a card. Garden is already good off its first effect alone. It's basically a tanky for the entire theme, but the second effect is specifically for helping you summon Emperor Penguin. It is, after all, a Royal Penguin Garden. Sure, in combination with the discard, Emperor no longer resolves as a +1, but even going neutral on card economy with an effect like that is stupendous. But despite all the upside, it still is a little disconcerting. There are these giant penguins in the sky, and I'm not sure if they're clouds or just giant penguins floating around the city, always watching. And I find that very strange. Our last card is Penguin Sword. It's an equipped spell you can only equip to a penguin monster, granting it 800 attack. When the equipped monster deals battle damage to your opponent, you can return one card they control to the hand. Remember, no penguin says it counts penguin cards, not just penguin monsters, so the banish effect applies here. Also, if any face-up cards your opponent controls leave the field due to a penguin effect and are either in the hand or banished until the end of the next turn, the effects of all those cards, as well as any cards with the same original name, are negated. So it works basically the same as Called by the Grave, including the part where it affects both players, so make sure you're careful about what you bounce. But yeah, this card is an incredible power boost. Penguin Braves can get up to 3200 attack and gives them a bounce all their own. And even Penguin Champion can get up to 2600. You know, I made that Monty Python joke earlier in the video, but this might actually be the Penguin Excalibur that makes its wielder the king of the battlefield. So that's all the penguin cards, but what do we do with them? Well, we certainly aren't OTKing our opponent with these stats. We're gonna focus on what we do best, disrupting our opponent with powerful bounce effects, which means we're at it again with control. But what can we play to help them out? While Champion can only be used to make water synchros, we actually have quite a few choice options. Brionac can vent cards out of your hand for bounces, Delorn can return Garden to your hand to get more searches, Coral Dragon is a little less explosive, but you're trading a tuner with a restriction for one without, opening up your synchro lines while also drawing you a card. If you don't reduce their level, then Champion plus any level 3 turns into Risen Dragite, and let's not forget the White Aura line of monsters. You'll likely start things out with Dolphin, which can run over just about anything with its ability to have a monster's attack, but if it gets to the point where it's reviving itself as a tuner, you can use it to make White Aura Whale for a board wipe, or Bahamut for a ridiculous boss monster. We also absolutely love Floodgates. The more we can slow our opponent down, the less options we have to consider when it comes to bouncing cards. Goes and Match is universally applicable for us, though we can run Rivalry of Warlords if we're okay with cutting Guard Penguin. Summon Limit gets in the way of our new combos, but the beauty is that you can just flip it up whenever you're done. Your opponent used up all their summons to get out 2 monsters? Great, sounds like the perfect target for Penguin Soldier. As for a silly tech pick, and I know this is usually reserved for water decks with big monsters, but a Legendary Ocean seems pretty clutch. Why? Because a ton of our penguins are level 3 aqua monsters, so by downgrading their level, you can make totally awesome. And it doesn't really mess up your main game plan either. If you summon Penguin Champion, you can have it hit board and not change its level, so it'll be 4 due to your field's effect. And any of your level 3 penguins are now 2, so making these 6 levels for Brave is still on the table. Or you can further downgrade Champion to 2 with their own effect to get 2 level 2 aquas. And since Garden is a continuous spell and not a field spell, there's no conflict. How cool is that? And that's all I have to say about penguins. It seems like Burst of Destiny was the control deck helmed by Birds pack more than anything else, but I'm certainly not complaining. It's got a fleshed out party of penguins, and if the artwork for Brave is anything to go by, we've got a wizard and a monk on their way to make this deck even better. It really is one of the best RPGs out there, which of course stands for Righteous Penguin Gang. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you agree that penguins are a pretty chill deck, or are we still waiting for them to get their water wings? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video around. It really does a lot to help me out. I'd also like to take this time to thank my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commander, CozyBoat275, Nebula Navigators, Billy Spence, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Gloomba331, Panther J, Shep Chow Shep, The Wizard Moose and the Fresh Prince of Conair, Cosmic Crusaders, Chaz Ghost, Colin Todd, Panda PLS, and Legendary Raven, as well as the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. Also, huge thanks to Sir Emanon for allowing me to leverage his penguin affinity for comedic purposes. But he's not just good looks, I name-dropped Rise of the Budget Duelist for a reason. And it's not just because I'm a huge Dante fanboy. It's a very accessible roadmap for how you can build a powerful deck on the cheap. And as someone who's going to be on a shoestring budget myself very soon, I'll be keeping a very close eye on it. It's got actionable advice that you can use and is extremely well put together. If you haven't already subscribed to Sir Emanon to make sure you keep up, now's your chance. And if you want to see another control deck that actively advertises avians, check out this video I did on Flunderees. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.